Hello everybody, how are you? Welcome back to Robin. This is Robin from Roaming with Rover, and this is our LizzyCAL. And guess what? We are finished. We are finished with the main body. We have us a blankie. We are finished with the main body. 100% done. What we're going to do now is we're going to start working on the edging. So, how did it go? I loved it. Couldn't be more pleased with this project. I had a couple of hiccups, of course, but I do on every project, so nothing really significant. I ended up with, so let me show you what we ended up with here. I'm not going to be able to, am I going to be able to do this? Let's see. Here we go. Ta-da-da. Okay. So she is about 46 inches wide. That doesn't sound right. I think it was 44. I think she's 44 inches wide and 52 inches long. We're going to add border to that, quite a bit of border. I'm going to add quite a bit of border, and we'll see. Because now I used the Stylecraft yarn. I bought the kit that she had, that Anja was selling. So it's a Stylecraft DK. So I used the DK yarn in this. I used the 3.5 hook that she recommended, and where is my hook? I just saw it. Here it is. So I used this small clover hook, which was recommended to me by Dana from Dana's Wanderlust Crochet. I did not think I was going to like it. I loved it. I fell in love with this hook. So I used this for the entire project. I bought the kit from Anja from her website, and it did say, the yarn said you could use the, this is a E 3.5, and it said you could use a 4 on the yarn. Anja used the 3.5. I easily could have used the 4. I wished I had used the 4 because I bought a kit, so I wanted to make sure it did not run out of yarn. We have this much yarn left. I randomly grabbed, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 different skeins of yarn, and I weighed them. Randomly grabbing yarn and weighing them. One bag I had about 45 grams left. Most bags I had in the 50s, and a few of them I had 60, 65 grams left. So there's a ton of yarn left. Not quite enough to do a whole nother blanket, although I probably really could if I didn't worry too much about, like if I was running low on one color, I could flip to another color. However, I do know when I go all the way around this thing 4, 5, 6, 10 times, I'm going to use up some more yarn. I've already decided what I'm going to do with the leftover. I'm either going to make a blanket, not a blanket, I'm either going to make a sweater, or I'm going to make a shawl. I think these would look gorgeous as a shawl. So we'll see. We'll see how much is left over after we do the border. So we've got this beautiful, gorgeous blanket. And now we start the border. This was Lydia. We finished Lydia. I did not have any problems with Lydia, except I did have to pay attention more with this section than I did the others. And it was the kiss. I just had to, I kept forgetting to do that double crochet in between the cross stitch. And that was just me not paying attention. And it was really hard for me the first week, the first half. The second half, it wasn't as hard, but I think it was because I was aware that I needed to pay more attention. So I just automatically paid more attention. And I will tell you, yeah, no. I was going to say something, but that really wasn't true. No problems. it was just beautiful. It was a beautiful blanket. I enjoyed the pattern. I enjoyed working with it. And other than her one teeny tiny little thing where she misspoke and said half double instead of double crochet, I found no errors, and she corrected the error. She corrected it in the writing and let us know, so there was no problem. So this week we are going to start the border. It's tricky. I'm not gonna lie, it is tricky to do this envelope border. It is not hard, but it takes some stamina. It takes some patience. I've watched her video. I've read the instructions. I've watched other videos. I have done one envelope border myself, so I'm thinking no problem. This is going to be, it's not going to be cake, but I know what to do and I know what to expect. If you've never done an envelope border before, I would recommend that you pop around and find a few videos on how to do it, and I'll tell you why. I love Anja and I love her training videos. What I did not love was when she shows us how to do the envelope border on this one, she shows us on her sample that did not have the ends hanging out. So as we're fighting with figuring out how to do this slip stitch border, we're also fighting with all these ends. And when she shows us how to do it, she does not show us fighting with the ends. So you gotta kind of figure that part out on your own. I started it a little bit last night because I wanted to see how it was gonna go. On the end where we're just doing double crochets, it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. On the end, on the side where I'm working with the, where did it go? On the side where I'm working with the ends, it's a little trickier. It's a little trickier, so I don't even know if I'm doing it right. I think I'm doing it right. And then later on, when we start doing the actual crocheting, she's very clear where the ends go. But while I'm doing this part, I'm not 1,000% sure if I'm doing it right. So I think just keep the ends out of your way while you're doing the slip stitch, and then later on, it'll work itself out. That's what I think is happening. I'm going to make bits of this video as we go. Normally, I do my video at the end of each section so you can see where we're at. I'm going to do this one as I go along and let you know how it's going, what I'm seeing. So we'll see. But so far, this is what I've done. This part, easy peasy. Now, I'll also give you this little hint. We are going to pick up stitches from the back. See that little bit right there? We're picking up a stitch there, and then we're going to pick up a stitch here. This gets really tight. Some people have to use like a needle to pull this out and then the hook to grab it underneath. Nothing wrong with that. This process, this slip stitch process, is going to be the hardest part of the whole blanket. Just this, getting the slip stitch done, and then that first row into the slip stitch. Hardest part of the whole blanket. It can be quite annoying. When you're doing this slip stitch, you don't want it to be tight at all. Some people go up a hook size. I made my stitch really loose when I was doing this. I just made sure to make it very, very loose. So I've got wiggle room because you're going to be doing 2 stitches into each one of these stitches. Now, when you're watching her video, she's got this beautiful, perfect line on the side. I do not. I do not. That's my line. Looks good right there. Looks terrible over there. It is very uppy downy, but I am following the edge of this thing, and I have taken it out. I have redone it multiple times, and this is as straight as it's going to get. I am not going to worry about it. I don't know how she got her so perfect. I do know she's not fighting with these while she's doing it. I also know that sometimes my stitch on the edge is thicker and sometimes it's thinner. So I'm not going to worry about it. It's going to work itself out just fine when I've got that edge stitching. And that's where I'm at. I have started doing my slip stitch on the edge. So this is Darcy, Mr. Darcy week. She's calling it 6A. We start with mocha. We start with mocha. I've got this much mocha left. She said she uses about 5 grams. I don't know how much we'll use. I had plenty, so I didn't worry about weighing it. Your end's going to look amazing. Be careful with your corner. Make sure you use your stitch marker in the corner. And then we use, what do we use? We use Lincoln and Storm Blue and Parchment and Sage. And again, I have plenty of those colors, so that's not going to be a problem. And we're going to do, how many rows? Many rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of this. Yes, 5 rows. So we do the row of slip stitch with mocha, and then 2 rows of sage, and then 1 row each of Storm Blue, Parchment, and Lincoln. So 5 rows, a total of 5 rows of half double crochets, and this paper's fighting me. So we're going to do the slip stitch and then a half double crochet, double, half double, double, half double. So this is my guess. Double, half double, double, half double, double. Probably one, two, three, four, 5. It's probably going to be about this wide when we're done with this section. This much more onto, so about that much more for this week. And you're going to do, she's calling this the back border. And do we do, yes, and then next week we turn it around and do the front border, and then you're going to hook them together. Really? I thought we did 1 row and then we switched it around and picked it up. But I have watched the videos multiple times and I may have gotten them confused. Insert your hook into the back stitch. Okay, row 2, each stitch all the way around. I think that's what she's doing. I think she's got us building it up on the front and then building it up on the back afterwards. Because of course she doesn't do that with her little sample because it would be way too big. Yep, that's what she does. So we're going to do the front part of the border, and then the second part we're going to go on the other side and work on. So this week we're going to work on this side of the slip stitch. We're going to pick up right here and work on this side. Then we're doing 5 rows. And then next week we're going to go on the front side and build up 5 rows. If you find that this is too difficult. And some people absolutely cannot figure this out, or it's just way, way too tight for them to be working on this. I'm going to insert a link down below for a gal. Her name is Dina. Get it right. Dina's Homespun Fun. She did a Lizzy Blanket last year, and she could not do this. She absolutely could not figure out this part of it. So she did it her own way, and she used a front post, back post, double crochet kind of thing. And it turned out fine. It looks different, absolutely, but it turned out fine. So I'm going to link her video down below. It's a longer video, it's a 20-minute video, but about the 11-minute mark, she starts talking about how she did the edging on her blanket. And if you want to go over there and watch that and see how she did, so there's an alternate version for this. If you want to go over there and watch how she did it, if you can't figure out this this slip stitch thing, it works. So definitely go and check that out. I'm going to try and insert that clip in here. Try being the operative word. Y'all know me and technology. I'm going to try. If I'm able to insert that clip, I will do it right about here, showing Dina's way, the alternate way of doing that. If not, just go down below and click on the link to her video. And like I said, start right at about 11 minutes, and it goes right into how she did her alternate version on that edging. I'm going to keep plugging away here and see how it turns out, and I'm going to show you how mine is working, and I hope it comes out okay. Now, normally I would tell you right about now that we're going to take 2 weeks to do this. I'm going to play this by ear. I can't imagine that it's going to take 2 weeks to do this. I don't know that we need to break this one up into 2 weeks. I'm really just thinking out loud right now. We're going to do 5 on the front, 5 on the back, plus this. It takes a long time to do this border. I worked on it a couple of hours last night, and I am done with this. Goes fast. This part's easy. This part is tricky. How far did I get? I got this far. It's going to take some time. Let's just go ahead and plan on the 2 weeks. We'll go ahead and plan on the 2 weeks. Worst case scenario, you fly through it and you don't need the second part. Let's plan on the 2 weeks. Okay, so we're going to do, she calls it week 6A. So we're starting at week 6A, Mr. Darcy. And then next week, her video will be 6B. I think we're going to have 6A and 6AA. And then we'll do 6B and see what we end up with. Man, I just don't know. I don't know. We're going to play it by ear and see how it goes. So that's where we are. We're done with the main part. We're on to the very, very trickiest part of this, which is this border. But not having to deal with all these ends, that would take us forever and ever. What I did, again, she does not say to do that, but I had so many of these coming loose, and that could be part of my problem as well. But I just took my 2 ends and tied them off. You do what you want to do. But I found they were coming loose in the stitch work, and I didn't like that. So I just did a quick double knot, and that's going to keep them more solid as these get buried in the envelope. But you do what you want to do. Every time I've seen another video, that's what they've said to do on these. Look around and you make your decision. Maybe try some without it and see if you find that your border works better. I am doing a couple stitches at each row. I did do a count of 50 stitches along here and 50 stitches along here, and I measured it and it was almost identical. So I felt like I was in the ballpark on doing my stitch work on the side. But it is definitely not pretty and even like hers is. Absolutely not. I think it's going to be fine. Let me know what you think. Let me know how yours is coming out. And I'll be back next week and we'll just see where we're at and see how things are going. We'll talk to you soon. Maybe we end up with 1 week on this. Maybe we'll end up with 2. We'll talk to you later. Thanks so much. Please like, please subscribe, and please keep in touch with me. Leave comments. Tell me how this is working out for you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Okay, so we are continuing on with week 6A of Mr. Darcy, and as we talked about before, what we are doing is we're getting set up for the border. We start with the mocha. This is the mocha. Got about this much left, a little handful. And like I said, I didn't know if it was going to take 1 week or 2 weeks. Absolutely taking me 2 weeks for this because I have spent several evenings on this slip stitch border. And as you can see on the bottom edges, the slip stitch is right there. That's the mocha right there. Can you see that? Yeah, looks really, really nice on this edge, on the clean edge on the top and the bottom. The slip stitch border looks really good, and it goes fairly quick because you're just going right across. I made sure every time I did a stitch, I pulled it up a little bit because I know we have to go back and make 2 stitches in here. We got to make a stitch on this side, and then we go back and pick up a stitch on this side. So I knew that needed to be as loose as possible. Some people will even use a larger crochet hook, go up 1 if not 2 sizes, because this is just kind of a base for the rest of the crocheting. And I've done this before and I know it gets very, very tight. So I didn't go up, but I made sure when I did my stitch, I made them very big and very loose. So again, this part was fairly easy. This part was not. It's not that it's hard. It's just, you've got all this stuff in the way, and my edges go up and down a little bit, up and down, up and down. Anja's are beautiful and straight and crisp and gorgeous, and she tells you in her little video to go nice and slow, take your time. It didn't matter for me. As you can see, my stitches go up and down. It looks like a mountain. See, you got the uppy downy, uppy downy, uppy downy. And that's just the way it's going to be, because I spent a lot of time trying to get these edges perfectly neat and even, and it would look real good for a little while, and then it wouldn't. I also didn't quite know what to do with these, and what I finally ended up doing was when I would do my stitch, so let's say I'm working right here, and I would poke it in and I would pull my needle, and then I would make sure that these laid down out of the way, and then I would poke in next to it. So as I was working down the row, I would just lay these stitches out of the way the other direction. So they just weren't there when I was working on it. And it took me a while to figure that out. So that part's done. I've gone all the way around, and it took me several hours. I'm going to say 5 or 6 hours just to do that part. So now what we're doing, now we're done with the, what is that, mocha? That's the mocha. And now we're doing the sage, and this is the sage. I really like this color. So now I'm picking the sage up, and we are working on the side of the slip stitch. See, this side of the slip stitch, you can see kind of looks like a stitch, and this side of the stitch is just the line. The line is the side we're working on. And what we have to do, and she explains this very clearly in her videos, what you have to do is take your hook and pick up the stitch, now we've got these things in the way, I just make sure they're always in the back when we're working. So we're going to pick up our stitch, or take our hook, go underneath that stitch, that little line, and you literally have to pick each one of them. And I kind of just put it up here. You can see me pulling it up onto my hook. So now I've got that on my hook, and I'm going to pull that through, and we're making, oh, see, I forgot to do my loop first, because we're making a half double crochet all the way around. Put that stitch on, pull it through, and then my half double crochet. So that's what we're doing all the way around with this part. See, that looks real nice. So we'll see what it looks like. It doesn't look too bad on this side. Doesn't look too bad. And right now, you can see a tiny little bit of it through the bottom of the stitch. But when we pull, we're going to do a stitch on the other side of that same stitch. So later on, we got to come to the back side and pick a stitch up through that line. That's going to pull that tight. You won't see that at all there. This part takes some time. We may not even get through it in 2 weeks. I'm going to do my best, though. I am going to absolutely do my best. And if it takes longer for you guys, if it takes you longer than 2 weeks, then just take longer. Just don't start the next section until you're done. Obviously, until you're done with this one. But what we're going to end up doing is we're going to be building several stitches up here on this side. And then once we get that done, we're going to flip it and build several stitches up on the other side. And then all of these stitches will be tucked down inside of it. That's how we make our envelope. And that's how we hide all of these ends. So it's going to look great when it's done, especially on the bottom. It's going to look really nice. And my sides are just going to be a little wonky, but you know, that's the way it goes. I've worked very, very hard to not get them that way, but it's just the way they're working out. And I fought it, and finally I just gave up and just did the stitches. Okay, so do not beat yourself up if your stitches do not look as nice as hers, because hers look beautiful and she's got lots and lots of practice. Okay, so that's where we are right now. I'm just going to keep going with my half double crochets all the way around, and I think what we do is we go half double double, half double double, half double. I think we do that 1 2 3 4 5 times. Yeah, because we did the slip stitch. Now I'm on my first half double. So we've got 5 rows, half double double, half double double, half double. And then we flip to the other side. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get all those stitches picked up. And then after that, you just go. It's going to go pretty quick after that. Okay? So we will see you back in the next episode. And that's when we're going to be starting week 6B of Mr. Darcy. So this is going to be for sure taking us 2 weeks to get done. So do what you got to do. And no. So next week we are not going to be doing 6B. We're going to continue on with 6A. 6A is taking us 2 weeks. So this is 6A week 1. And then we'll do 6A week 2 next week. Okay? We will see you next week. You'll get there. This takes time to go all the way around, and that's just the way it is. So we'll see you later. Bye-bye. Hey guys, just popping in to give you an update. So I'm still on what I'm going to call 6A, 6AA, I don't know, 6A. I have finally gotten all the way around this blanket we did the slip stitch all the way around with the mocha, and that took a really long time. And then we used the, I forgot what color it is, sage, I think. Then we're using the sage to go all the way around, picking up that stitch in every one of those slip stitches. That took me a very long time. It took at least as long as it did to put the slip stitches in, maybe even longer. And I found a lot of times I had to use a needle to pick that stitch up and hold it up so I could get my hook down inside of it. And I made those stitches big. I think if I were telling somebody, I would say go up a couple of hook sizes to make that slip stitch. and maybe even go down a hook size when you start that first row of half double crochets. But it is complete. I have the half double crochets all the way around this thing. And again, on these ends, it looks beautiful, very, very nice. On the edges, it looks pretty wonky. I still think it's going to clean itself up just from, yeah, that one's pretty bad. Just from once I get it all together. And I don't care. I don't care at this point. It's just, it's so beautiful. The blanket itself is so beautiful. And if my edging is a little wavy, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. But I've got that all the way around. And it took forever. It took forever to get that edging all the way done. So just those two parts, just that slip stitch and then the first row of half double crochets, it took me a full week of crocheting every single day. But it's finally done. And now we're going to do double crochets all around in the same color. So we are 100% done with what we're calling Mr. Darcy week 6A. So week 6A is finished, and now we're moving on to week 6AA, which is for us the second half of the first section of Mr. Darcy. Okay? Mr. Darcy part 2. Mr. Darcy part 1, part 2. Because she calls them both Mr. Darcy. So anyway, what we have to do now, because we've got our slip stitch done, we've got our first row of half double crochet. Now we're going to do double crochets, half double, double crochet, half double, get that part done. So when we're back, I'll have this side of this section done, and then we'll move on. And what we're going to be doing next time is we're flipping this thing over, and we're going to do a row of half double crochet. I believe, without looking at the pattern, I believe we're doing a row of half double crochet, and we're picking up these stitches on the back side of that slip stitch. So we finally got it done, and now we're doing the easy part, which is just boom, 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 all the way around. It's going to take a long time because we got to go all the way around, 3-4 times, whatever times it is. And so that's going to take some time, but it's going to be much easier. Okay, so I'm finally going to be closing this out. I know this is a very long video, and I apologize, but I really wanted you guys to not get disheartened and to be able to see where we are every step of the way on this one. Use a bigger hook when you're making your stitches, and use a smaller hook when you go back in to work them to do your half double crochet. And I think that's going to make things much, much easier for you. I definitely, and don't feel bad if you need to get that needle out and pick those stitches up. She talked about that in her video as well, but she ended up not needing to do it. So let me know how it's going. I know this part is kind of frustrating for us, but it's not the end of the world, and you'll get through it, and then you'll be ready to do the fun stuff again. All right, we will see you soon. Bye-bye.